koutou. Tuatahi koutou toko au ngā mihi kua mihia, kia koe tua mō tō whakatau i a tātou i tēnei ata. Kia koe Philippa Lipi mā mō koutou whakahaere i tēnei hui i nei rangahau hoki. Kia koutou katoa kua whakaemi mai nei mō tēnei hui. I just wanted to say thank you very much again to Toa for welcoming us here this morning, and also to Philippa, Libby and the others for not only organising today but also running the research programs through which we are able to participate in this kind of forum. So I am Pākehā, my ancestors are in England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales, but I was born in Whangarei and I grew up here in Wellington on the ridge of Ahumairangi. And these days, like a lot of people, I live in Auckland. And my current research takes us back to Waikato, which is near where I live now. And Toa spoke about the tongi from Kingi Tāwhiao, kotahi te kōhau o te ngira, and it's some of the words of Kingi Tāwhiao which come through in the work that I'm going to share with you today as well. So I'd like to acknowledge Waikato-Tainui who've helped to guide the research that I'm doing at the moment, and their company Tainui Group Holdings, also Hamilton City Council who've been participating, and any descendants of Waikato-Tainui who find yourselves here today. He mihi nui kia koutou katoa. Finally, I'd also just like to acknowledge my tuakana, Anaru and Keriata, Jono and John, who have been a pretty amazing support group during the process of this PhD. So, he mihi nui kia koutou katoa. I was at the New Zealand Planning Institute conference in Dunedin last week, and Hirani Mātunga, who Keriata mentioned before, Professor of Indigenous Planning at Lincoln University, was talking about the strategic and environmental plans that iwi and hapu around the motu have been writing. And Hirani Mātunga has done some analysis which estimates that there were 2 iwi management plans in 1991, and there's around 70 today. And simultaneously, iwi and hapu have been settling treaty claims with the Crown, including, as Hirani Mātunga estimated, moving from 13 completed settlements in 1991 to now 58 completed settlements and counting. So for the last 2 years, as I said, I've been working with Waikato-Tainui and Hamilton City Council to investigate the planning and development of land returned under treaty settlement within Hamilton City. In that research, what I'd like to share with you today is my finding that the planning documents developed by Waikato-Tainui are critical to understanding the aspirations held by that iwi for their land. As a Pākehā researcher with, as Philippa said, a background in central and local government, I propose that using those documents to understand iwi aspirations is an important element of growth in land use planning. So in this brief presentation, I'll focus on 2 plans developed by Waikato-Tainui in the last 10 years. I'll then look at how the discourse in those plans around the development of land returned under treaty settlement is reflected in local government plans which were produced during the same time. The dialogue between iwi and hapu planning documents on one hand and local government plans on the other is significant because it's those local government plans that set the rules by which any development proposals on treaty settlement land is approved or declined. And in Hamilton City, different ideas about what development is appropriate on land owned by Waikato-Tainui has generated tension between the iwi and the council over those planning processes. So, Whakatupuranga Waikato-Tainui 2050, the document up there on the left, is a strategic document produced in 2007. In the document, it's introduced by Te Aotearoa, the elected governance body for Waikato-Tainui, as the blueprint for cultural, social and economic advancement for our people. Taitumu Tai Pari Tai Ao on the right is an environmental plan also developed by Waikato-Tainui and released in 2013. So thinking specifically about the relevance of these plans to the development of land returned under treaty settlement, I identified in Whakatupuranga 2050 4 themes: a holistic approach to development, economic self-sufficiency, the importance of historic continuity, and the notion of collective benefit for the people. And those themes are also present in Tai Tunu Te Pari Tai Ao. So today I'm going to focus just on that theme of economic self-sufficiency. Whakatupuranga 2050 includes a number of phrases which link economic capacity with tribal identity and tribal independence. For example, self-determination for economic independence is identified as one of three critical elements fundamental to equipping future generations with the capacity to shape their own future. Within Tai Tumu Tai Pari Tai Ao, economic self-sufficiency is referred to in terms of returning to the prosperity of pre-1863, of pre-Raupatu times. The plan makes clear statements about Waikato-Tainui economic interests and expectations. For example, the commercial company Tainui Group Holdings is clearly identified as part of the Waikato-Tainui family, and their commercial activities are seen as part of the exercise of mana whakahaere. Waikato-Tainui aspirations for land use and development are put into the context of historic difficulties in developing Māori land. And importantly, the need to view those commercial developments as part of a bigger picture of integrated iwi development is emphasised. The plan says, ultimately the commercial benefit of any Waikato-Tainui development remains within the rohi and for the benefit of Waikato-Tainui tribal members and the wider community. The link between the economic and commercial success of Waikato-Tainui and their cultural and social success cannot be overstated. So that sets the scene for how Waikato-Tainui are talking about this concept in their documents. So to what extent is this theme of economic self-sufficiency or Waikato-Tainui economic sovereignty acknowledged in local government planning documents? What progress is being made towards dialogue? I looked at three key documents which guide the development of Hamilton City: the Hamilton District Plan, Hamilton Urban Growth Strategy, and the Future-Proof Sub-Regional Strategy. So in the Hamilton Urban Growth Strategy, which came out in 2010, Waikato-Tainui economic sovereignty doesn't feature. In fact, Waikato-Tainui or tangata whenua generally are not visible. The strategy doesn't even include the words Māori, iwi, hapu, tiriti or treaty. The Hamilton District Plan came out in 2012, approaches economic sovereignty as a historical fact. The plan details the resources of Māori in Hamilton before confiscation, which included rich agricultural resources, control of the Waikato River system, and settlements along the Waikato River. The Hamilton District Plan also discusses the treaty settlement process, but in purely financial terms. Rather than being an economic base for the iwi to achieve their aspirations, the wealth of Waikato-Tainui is conceptualised in terms of the contribution of the iwi to local government finances and property development. According to the plan, the Waikato tribe is now one of the largest contributors to city rates and urban development projects. Of the three local government documents reviewed, the Future-Proof Strategy comes closest to acknowledging economic sovereignty, the increase in economic power, and the expectations for recognition and participation held by Waikato-Tainui. This strategy states that the ongoing capacity and capability building of tangata whenua, supported by the settlement of outstanding claims, means that tangata whenua will be a leading economic influence in the sub-region by 2061. The Future-Proof Strategy mentions post-settlement assets and links the governance and management of those assets with benefits for members of the iwi authority. However, the Future-Proof Strategy stops short of specifically identifying the location of land owned by Waikato-Tainui through treaty settlement, and does not discuss how the location of that land could or should affect the direction of growth in the region. So in conclusion, my research, which is not yet finished, indicates that when local governments developing plans to regulate land use and activities on treaty settlement land, it's critical to understand iwi aspirations within their social, historical and cultural context. For local government planners, iwi planning documents can provide a window into that world. In this research, analysis of plans produced by Waikato-Tainui illustrates the importance of economic development to support an integrated iwi development agenda. And to date, discourse around economic self-sufficiency has not been well reflected in local government documents. However, this is something that Hamilton City Council and Waikato-Tainui are now working on. Local government and iwi need to work closely to understand each other's vision for developing their shared city and to ensure appropriate planning regulation is created for land returned under treaty settlement. Kia ora koutou.